we go. All right, we're recording.
Oh no.
Yeah, so welcome. Oh, I gotta fix my hat. There we go.
That's good.
I'm getting real
Let
excited
people
about it.
see that you haven't gotten a haircut.
I have. I've been cutting my own hair.
Oh, so is Nate.
Yep.
Minus the back. It's getting very long. And I'm saying this publicly because I want to cut it.
Yeah, don't look at the back. When I did it this last time, I asked Melissa to come clean up the back, and she's like, do you want me to clean up this giant chunk you just took out of your hair? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't know. There's a giant chunk out of the back of your head. So I don't even know how I did that. It's great.
Yeah. It's the mystery of the COVID haircuts.
Yeah. But I think your haircut looks great, Nate.
I've got a little divot that's covered up by the combing, but other than that, it's going to look pretty well.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. Oh, yeah. And,
Zoom's in high def, so we're good.
Mm-hmm. And Irene, I don't know if you're doing like what Melissa's doing. She's just letting it grow out, and she's doing all kinds of cool braidy things. And
I cannot braid, but I'm just letting it grow out. I was on the fence about chopping my hair again or growing it out, so it was kind of nice for the decision to be made, for me.
Yeah.
By
not the quarantine buzz cut.
No, not the quarantine buzz cut. No. So yeah, because I was a hot mess because we haven't done much preventative stuff. So
yeah. Yay! So so who are you?
Okay. I'm Irene Demaris. I'm a deaconess in the United Methodist Church. I'm also the associate director for Iowa Interfaith Power and Light.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm Nate Nims. I'm the pastor at Grace United Methodist Church in Des Moines, Iowa.
All right. And who is our furry little friend?
Well, this is Leo Damaris. He has my last name, and he put on a tie for everybody.
Oh, very fancy. Hello, sir. How are you? Welcome to the show. Yes. So why doesn't he have a hyphenated name? Because did you bring him to the household? Is that why?
Yeah. So the merging of the household. So in my your cats have the last name of Nims, and my dog is Damaris. I mean, it's a weird hill to die on, but
yeah. You guys seem to have been making it okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We haven't killed each other. It's good.
Yeah.
What are we coming up on? Is this year number 1 we're finishing? For anniversary?
Yeah.
2.
Because we had the legal ceremony in January, so we've been legally married a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And then coming up on our religious ceremony in August.
That's right. That's right. I think I sent you, what did I send you? I sent you some forks.
Silver, yes. I was going to publicly thank you. I know that we sent you a thank you note, but thank you for the silverware. I think of you every time.
Yeah, actually, I don't think you sent me a thank you note, but it's okay.
No, we did. It's marked up. We had an Excel sheet, so I'm sorry if it got lost in the mail.
Well, as a lover of Excel sheets, that I kid. I'm sure I got it. But yeah, I like to get wedding gifts for people to where they have to think of me every day.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a friend of ours in seminary. I don't know if you guys know Bridie Roberts.
I don't.
You would be best friends if she was in your conference or you were in CalPAC. Mm-hmm. Very activisty, very community organizing person. Yeah, I don't think that was English I just used, but anyway, she got us this pasta strainer that had pears sort of etched into it or something like that. It was very nice, and every time I drained pasta, I was like, oh, Bridie. Yeah. And the president of Claremont at the time, because we got married when we were in seminary, got us some Target frying pans or something like that. So I would be like, I'm making Phil Emerson pancakes. Morning. Phil and Elaine Emerson. I'm pretty sure Elaine probably picked them out and just put his name on the card. But,
right? Yeah, I have our nice pair of sheets, the set of sheets are from two of my dear ones from DC, and so it was one of those things I was like, I think of you every time we go to bed. So, yeah. Hey, David and Josh.
Yeah, well, this is a PG-13 show, so we gotta be careful how far we go with that one. But maybe we'll do like a late nights with Rob. Yeah.
We're gonna be doing this for a while, so.
I have ideas for like 4 podcasts, but they're all basically just me talking to my friends and just titled different things. Yeah. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Whatever brings you joy.
Yeah. So what have you guys been up to?
Trying to be online. Just making that switch.
Yeah.
And it's always been the slow realization that we're in this longer than we ever thought we would be in it.
Yeah.
So it's just like forecasting out how long we're just online or in the mail and we have a fairly technologically savvy congregation, but we've still got folks without internet access. We've got folks that don't really have a cell phone, let alone a smartphone. So figuring out those connections, and then we're to the point now of starting to explore how do we offer the free clinic that meets at the church safely again. Because we knew we couldn't do that for a while, but now our doctor and the students that are a part of that are ready to sort of dip their toe and see what a cautious reopening of that could be. So it's just navigating all of those different lines. And then it's in the back of my head, whenever we're doing something volunteer-based, community-based, it's how do you word the call for volunteers and not say to old folks, we just don't want you.
Right.
It's that very we're in a pandemic and it affects everyone regardless of age, but we know certain risk groups.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's, it always sounds ageist to me to say if you're over 60, don't bother.
Right. Well, I literally just got back from taking my mom to the doctor because she's having some carpal tunnel problems, and she lives in an independent living community, which is much better than being in assisted living because everyone has their own space and you don't have staff going. But they have them pretty locked down except for going to doctor's appointments. And it's pulled up. She tried to get in the passenger side. I was like, no, get him back. And then I had the windows cracked, and she kept trying to roll them up, and I'm like, no, we have to keep the air circulating.
Yeah.
She's like, can I stop and get? No, you can't. So I just feel so terrible for anybody in high risk groups, and Melissa's the same way because she's even if we could safely open up church in some way right now. She just knows all the folks who want to come and give each other big hugs and high fives and handshakes, all the folks who should probably not be doing that for their safety, but I don't know.
So in Iowa, with our committees and our leadership, we've been doing the snow day comparison to restarting church right now.
Oh, okay.
We know that if there's a day where school would be canceled if there was snow on the roads or if the plows just hadn't got out early enough.
Yeah.
The folks that would show up and drive through that snow to get to the church are the very folks that should be at home drinking hot cocoa by the fire and not risking the elements. Unfortunately, it's that sort of, we've got to make the difficult choices for folks because a lot of people don't want to make them for themselves.
Yeah.
Like my haircut.
Like your haircut, yeah. So don't get a haircut there. I made your decision for you.
Yeah. Well, I started my job during this pandemic, so that's.
Oh, really? Well, I've been feeling bad for Brian Kim Schlimmer.
Mm-hmm.
That dude moves his family halfway across the country and to a state where he doesn't know anybody, and he's having to meet people or not meet people and buy a house and all that craziness. It's wild.
Yeah.
Nate, I had an idea for how you can get the sermons and stuff to your shut-ins.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you roll by in your car and you roll the window down and you have them come out and make sure, they're far enough away on their porch or whatever. And then you just give the sermon
Just
that
give it
way.
house to
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
And so if you have 20 shut-ins or whatever, you just, pick a couple days a week where you're going to go and do your sermon 20 times from your car. Oh,
Which is perfect because then you get to add door-to-door salesperson to your televangelist. And so therefore broadening the resume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the neighbors are going to hear it and they're going to come out. Yeah. So it's okay. You can take that idea. I don't need credit for it. It's all yours. Yeah.
I will not be driving along for that.
The Mormons do it 2x2, so I think you have to.
Yeah, I think you're committed. Or take the dog, take Leo.
He's got the tie already, so.
Yeah, you just need to get him the
white shirt. Yeah. Nice. What's his favorite thing? Is he belly scratches behind the ears, walks? That's it. That's the one.
He likes walking, and then he loves blueberry greenies.
Oh, I did not know those existed.
Yeah, he loses his shit for walks in blueberry greenies.
Okay.
So he's very food motivated.
How is he with the greenies? My dog wants to eat them in one bite, and he just seems really frustrated that he just can't eat it in one bite. But he eats them very quickly. He doesn't enjoy it as Leo.
He enjoys it. He doesn't. I mean, we get the teeny ones, so he goes through it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I don't do this anymore, but one time somebody gave me the hot tip of freezing them, and then that slows it down. Yeah.
Okay.
So that could be an option for you.
Might have to try that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, somebody will get a WALK later, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was pretty disgusting today. So the sun's out. So.
Oh, nice. We have it's 105 and monsoon's rolling in, so it feels like a sauna in my office here right now. Yeah. It's good times. Welcome to Arizona.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. What are we watching, reading or listening to? It could be for fun or for work or both.
I haven't started, but I have Rodham, which is the reimagining of Hillary Clinton if she didn't marry Bill.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of a cool thought experiment.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nate is really disappointed because we've just finished and there wasn't another episode of The Floor is Lava.
The Floor is Lava on Netflix is amazing.
Yeah.
I was legitimately sad when the last episode played and the announcer was like, "Oh, we're done with the season." I was like, "Why would you do this to me?"
No. Do you guys want to try to get on the show, or Nate, you want to put a team together?
I would do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Irene's still doing physical therapy. So
I threw out my back, so
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm doing a lot better, but
yeah. How did you throw out your back?
Getting old. It was like a turn of things. We were at a concert and I was on my feet and had a purse on one side, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's the worst. As we get older, our injuries just come from oh, how'd you injure it? I woke up this morning and
I rolled out of bed.
Yeah.
I re-injured it rolling to turn off.
It's what?
Yeah, mid-30s. The new Perry Mason.
Mm-hmm. That's on my short list.
Yeah.
I hear it's super dark.
It is. It is very dark.
Yeah.
And then All Be Gone in the Dark is on right after Perry Mason on Sundays on HBO. That's a good
okay.
Good true
What's
crime.
the purpose of that one?
Yeah. It is the story of Michelle McNamara, who was Patton Oswalt's first wife, She passed away before the book, All
Okay.
Be Gone in the Dark, was published, and that was all about the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, the Golden State Killer, Joseph D'Angelo, who had over 50 rapes and multiple murders in the 70s in California.
Yeah, you recalled all that way too easily from memory.
Yeah.
We're also watching, on a lighter note, Star Trek Next Generation. I've obviously watched it a couple times, but like me was like in shock. I was like, I've seen every episode of that. Deep Space Nine has a church angle, spirituality, measure. Apparently, I had never like told him.
No, you didn't tell me you were a Trekkie.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. I've watched Next Generation all the way through at some point, but it was a long time ago, and I was planning on doing it again. But now that you guys mentioned Perry Mason, that was already kind of on my list. I think I need to check it out. But the guy from The Americans is in that, which reminded me that I still haven't finished The Americans. So now I feel like I got to finish The Americans, and then I can watch. I know they have nothing to do with each other, but it's just it's unfinished. I gotta finish it before I start the new thing. So Melissa and I are going through Alias right now because it came back on Amazon.
Oh, it's back?
Yeah, we've watched that. This is like our third time through, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a few years, so it's been long enough to where, which is great, I love it, where we've forgotten enough of what happens. But I know like there's some major pieces of what happened, but then there's like all these smaller characters or whatever that I'm like, oh, do they die or not? Or are they bad guy?
And then she was like married in real life to somebody on that show, right? Or dated?
Melissa, if she was in here, she would tell you. Yeah, it's her birthday, so she's getting her second Starbucks for the day.
Tell her happy birthday from us.
Well, it's number 40. There's a lot of unicorns and rainbows involved. I just went down the party aisle at Target, which is in a very big aisle, but I just got everything pink and put it in the basket. So it was all unicorns and rainbows. So there's lots of big unicorn balloons and happy birthday buttons and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah. One other fun fact about Alias. So I think it's the last season. I want to say it's the first season. No, the first episode of the last season. There's a big funeral scene, and it's at Hollywood UMC.
Oh.
And the pastor who's leading like the procession was the pastor or one of the retired pastors of Hollywood UMC at the time. And it's because I believe some of the writers or the producers or both were members of Hollywood UMC.
Well, Jennifer Gardner's United Methodist. And
she is, yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think she popped up at Westwood where we had Lead a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
For church not too long ago. So, I follow them.
They're Christians too.
Yeah. What? It's crazy.
I know, right?
Great. Okay, that's good. What other books? Nate, what are you reading?
The last book that I finished is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote.
Okay, yep.
Finally got around to doing that. For our church, we are going to start reading Dear Church by Lenny Duncan. He's an ELCA pastor in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So we're going to be looking at that. And Jennifer Harvey is at Drake University, which is only a handful of blocks away from our church. And so we'll probably do either her Dear Church or no, what was hers? Dear White Church?
She has one on Raising White Children.
Yeah, Raising White Kids is one of her books. And then I think it's Dear White Church is one of her other books, but probably connect with her. She's a Presbyterian.
I'm cheating right now.
Yeah.
Why don't you just Google it?
Yeah, and she's like really big in with the Surge committee, like not committee, but like community in Des Moines. That is actually pretty Yeah, Dear White Christian.
Dear White Christian.
Yeah.
Dear White Christians. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'll check that one out.
Yeah.
I've noticed, I may be repeating myself because I think I was talking to my mother-in-law on video the other day about this, that I haven't been reading much since we've been at home so much, which is weird because I've been super into reading the last couple of years, which was a habit that I was just determined I was going to have. Like, I'm going to read more because I hadn't been a huge reader. Yeah, so I just have this like pile going and I want to get back into it.
I was reading a ton, and then I kind of like was still reading at the beginning because and I realized like my books, I was reading like award winners like from a while ago, and they were all sad, and I was like holding those emotions, and I was like, I think I need to take a break because I'm like legitimately sad and depressed about this.
I know how to escape this depression. Let's read about more depressing things. Woo!
I was like, I can't up my antidepressants from what they were.
Why are you so sad? My book list. The book list. Here's a topic for us. What? Let's just get more depressed. What trips this summer did you have to cancel?
This summer, not much. We had a wedding planned in the fall.
DC. Well, we haven't met our newest nephew.
Yeah.
Because he was born end of January.
Mm-hmm.
Where does he live?
They live in Boston.
Boston,
Yeah.
okay.
We still haven't actually had a honeymoon.
No,
really?
Mm-hmm.
And you hadn't planned to do that this summer?
I would rather go somewhere warm when it is so cold in Iowa. So, it didn't work out any of the winters. So eventually, I canceled Christmas. My family was supposed to come out, and I was like, not a good idea. Iowa's a cluster right now.
Yeah.
Our governor doesn't believe in masks. So,
Well, she made a nice YouTube video that told us to do the right thing, but then didn't even do the right thing. So
it sounds pretty familiar to our situation.
I know Arizona is a hot mess too.
Yeah. Our governor last week, I don't know what days or weeks are anymore, but his last press conference, he set up this huge, like, gonna do this dramatic, here's 6 things we're gonna close or whatever. And he's like, and that's why today we're going to 50% capacity at restaurants. And I was like, okay. And then there was nothing else. And then I'm sitting there thinking, like, am I having deja vu? And sure enough, 3 weeks earlier, he had already set us at 50% capacity at restaurants. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I have to drive my mom around in, the trunk of the car with the windows rolled down. And no talking.
I know. It's so sad.
Yeah, makes me. That's like my biggest source of frustration right now is, so the whole plan apparently was to just like, I can't be lonely and isolated and away from Applebee's. So I need to have the freedom to do that, but we need to take all the vulnerable folks and literally lock them away in a closet for 18 months and hope that they don't kill themselves or whatever. So the logic of that is a little strange, but everything, we're in the upside down. It's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't done much. I mean, we're gonna do like a long weekend and a cabin that like we know who owns it. Like, so we'll be like safe. Like we'll bring all of our own stuff. Like so we can isolate away from our house, but like with a lake.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah, I needed it. I was like, I gotta get out. Yeah.
Got it. So you have done that, or you're going to do that?
We next month we got the date set.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had one Sunday off since this got started. Is that right? Yeah. So our conference did a video that we could then post however our churches were doing worship online, or they even did the full manuscript to mail it to folks too. So that helped. Like, honestly, for me, the biggest like dilemma in taking time off right now is like the amount of passwords and usernames and then explaining like the steps of like,
Yes.
this is how you connect your phone
Yeah.
to the streaming service, and then this is how you connect the streaming service to the restreamer to connect it to YouTube and Facebook. And then this is how you tell the volunteer that it's ready to connect to the website so that they can, it's just like, okay.
So even on a Sunday off, Nate is
Yeah.
still making sure everything's uploaded and like doing the right thing. So we might be having brunch at home while it happens.
Right.
But it's still like,
You can't get fully into time off mode.
yeah, and if you don't have a comms professional in the church,
Yeah.
you're just kind of like shit out of luck. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why I edit and post all of our Sunday stuff for Sanctuary Tucson, where Melissa's the pastor. I'm taking like a 4-day weekend, and so it'll all be loaded tomorrow by midnight, no matter what. Like it's happening. Or I even told the musicians, because they tend to send me stuff on like Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the last thing I'm waiting for. I'm like, come on, guys, like, just gotta drop it in the final cut here. And this time I was like, I am officially turning my brain off Thursday night at this time. So if the music is not in, there will be no music on Sunday, and I will not face the blowback for that.
well, and I think too, it's like I've been talking to my boss, like, when are we supposed to, my vacation doesn't roll over. So like, I'm just like trying to figure out too, when you actually have time off.
Yeah.
And, like, make sure you don't, like, since we're all, like, we move stuff around. So now I have my own room. That's an office.
Nice.
So now I can like close the door, but I was in the living room for like 3 months.
Yeah.
So
what is your work like? How has that changed for you?
I mean, I was in the office for 4 days, and then this happened.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like lots of getting, like, there's only 2 of us, but I mean, we hired 5 interns over the summer, all over Zoom. So it's just been a lot of like getting to know my boss and like our work styles, all remote. It's luckily we get along very well. So it's worked out pretty well. But it is just kind of like at the beginning, you're like, you would have charted this out because like relationship, like, and who you talk to, and like I would have met people in person. Because I actually also got a promotion. So I was hired as a multi-issue organizer. And so it's, I mean, and you just focus on other stuff. So like, we're going to redo our like website. So I'll be leading that process. So just, and everyone's on Zoom. I mean, that's, you know, I had a conversation, and you know, we used to have these conversations with farmers. We work with a lot of farmers there, so it's so fun.
In Iowa? Wow.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. There's farmers. Yeah. But it's just like you would have had the conversation over food in a church basement, and instead like it's an hour over like Zoom, no food. Except there was one baller farmer, and he had like a large glass of wine, and I was super jealous.
Yes. I ran out of time, but I was going to come to this call with margarita. Got a big bottle for Melissa's birthday tonight. Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're big fans of mezcal.
Ooh, when I was doing my margarita research, and by the way, I totally copped out, so just ignore my margarita research. But I was reading like a lot of people are trying, you know, like, are suggesting like you should try your margarita with mezcal. Like that's kind of a thing now. Maybe it's always been a thing, but
yeah, I got introduced to them in DC.
Oh,
and then I converted Nate.
Yeah.
I know. It's in DC when I lived there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I reckon it's really.
Okay.
It's just level. It ups the level, ups the game.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's two more pieces here to the episode, but
Okay.
I have before that I have a very serious question for Nate. Nate, tell me about your thoughts on WWE during this time. I don't watch full episodes, but Monday nights, Friday nights, I'm channel surfing. Everyone's asleep, and I'll watch a couple matches, and it's very bizarre. I mean, they never shut down in the first place, but
No, they never shut down. I had mixed feelings about that because I thought they would take a couple weeks off at the start, but then Florida named them an essential industry, so that was interesting. But yeah,
the McMahons are capitalist?
Yeah.
What?
But so early COVID WWE was rough because no crowd just was really boring.
Yeah.
WrestleMania was a lot better than I thought it would be. Primarily because of the Undertaker AJ Styles match.
Yes.
Like the cinematography was really well done. The storytelling was good.
The camp level was just right.
It fit. And then on the WWE Network, their 5-week series of Undertaker's Last Ride, that was well done. Made me tear up a little bit. Got sentimental about a part of my childhood finally.
He teared up
walking away.
Times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now that folks are back, I don't mind the like hockey rink style setup around the ring. But it's good that they've got some folks there. There's some storytelling gaps that they're starting to fill, but it's just one of those weird things where like you don't know who's going to be there week to week, and
Ric Flair and Big Show were on the other night.
Yeah,
that's like what?
Ric Flair should not be out in public.
No, that's exactly what I'm like.
He is an at-risk individual.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that man's antibodies for like everything ever, virus ever created are probably, pretty good.
Yeah.
So, cool. Okay, I needed some thoughts on that because I asked Wasson about this the other night, and you know what he told me? I haven't watched since January. Yeah, so we're gonna have to dive deeper with him on why that is.
Like, is that are you okay? Like, do we need to have an intervention situation? I know that you just moved and that was like very stressful, but January.
Well, he's a big church pastor now, so he's got important things to do.
And he's United Methodist. I mean, he's like moving on up.
I know. Yeah. It's like everyone else is getting out and he's coming in. So. I know he's gonna watch this.
Yeah.
So.
I should text Janessa right now.
Yeah, he was our first guest here. So maybe time to have him back. And his dogs. Yeah. Okay, so now you guys get to ask me anything. Ask me a question.
How has your ministry been enhanced being a deacon? I was really proud of you making that switch. I've just been curious, actually.
Yeah. I think it was, it felt like being me for the first time in a while. Like I had a couple rough years there, and a big part of that was reckoning over call. And my darkest times, it was I'm not called to be a pastor, but what it really was is, oh no, I'm called to be. It's not what I'm not called to be; it's what I am called to be. And that, and I could talk for hours about how we define ordination and whatever in the denomination. But yeah, I mean, I realized like, oh, this is the ministry I've always been doing. But there's this pushback and this push and pull, because people are like, no, the ministry of an elder is these 4 things or whatever. It's about, you're in a building, you're doing these things, you have to be miserable all the time. And I'm like, but I'm like a community guy and a connector, and I'm trying to be out on the frontier and connecting with folks way beyond the church. And that's always felt like, ordained ministry to me. Like I never could think of anything different. And so when that aha moment finally hit, it was great. And so the last, 3 years now, that I've been fully deaconing it up, have just been great. So I just feel like I'm doing what I've always supposed to been doing. I'm still out there, even online, trying to make those connections and bring the world into the church and the church into the world.
Yeah. I mean, It's interesting how, because I know when I was in the ordination process, like just everyone just wants to force you into like the elder role. And I was deacon track.
Oh, yeah. I was guilty of that as an elder. I was guilty of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I blame you. No, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, it is one of those things when it's just like the struggles there, and then you figure out what path you should have taken, but you needed to go down a rabbit hole and all of that. So I was just curious.
Yeah, and I could I won't do it in public, but I could list off 20 of our friends who really, it's like, if it really came down to it, you're probably really a deacon, or you'd be happier as a deacon or whatever, which again speaks more not to them or something they did wrong, but just what the system has done. And it incentivizes, like, I get it, I understand guaranteed appointment and itinerancy or whatever, and you have to offer really strong incentives for all those things, and you want to make sure that there's a, it's an equal and a just system, and itinerancy helps with that. But at the same time, I think it doesn't force people, but it incentivizes people to pick one route versus maybe the route they should have gone down. Yeah. So, and not to mention, still every time I show up to orders or annual conference or whatever, they're joking, but colleagues, especially some of my older colleagues who make, they punch down on deacons all the time and make jokes about not being a real pastor anymore and stuff like that. And which I always come back and I say, like, oh, how's your anger and depression doing from doing a job you made?
No, I actually asked a bunch of deacons which degree I should get, and they were all like, you need to get an MDiv because elders look down on us. But now I'm I'm a deaconess, like I'm a lady with an MDiv, so
yeah. You know what? It's like, let's just all do the work. Like we're all same team. That's what I always say. Like same team of Jesus, team Jesus.
Yeah, you can just do the elements. I do not care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm married to an elder, so that's what I just bring her along anytime I need. Hey, elder, I need to use you to do some magic on some bread and juice.
So we've been doing communion online throughout the summer since shutdown, and I haven't done the full liturgy, just because it's been more informal how we've set up the service and how we run things. But yeah, I think there was a lot of, like, just on our clergy Facebook page in the state, when the bishop said, like, I give you all permission, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like the number of folks that said, well, no, they can't do that without me there.
Touching my pearls.
Yep.
And we have some magic words in the liturgy, but we're not the ones really doing anything.
Look at you being so theologically sound.
Yeah.
It is weird doing it with wine because we don't have grape juice at home, and I drink a lot of wine.
Oh, there you go. I love it. This conversation, it reminded me about when I was talking about Team Jesus. Irene, the first time I met you, do you know what the first thing you said to me? It was at Western Jurisdiction Conference.
Yeah, you were working with Jesus, because Dottie is just was so like with it and mission driven. Yeah, I remember now.
Well, I think you turned around, you're like sitting in front of me and you turned around and said, "Who do you work for?" It was like,
That was a year ago. That was, I can't, like, Karen has been elected for 4 years. Like,
I know.
crazy.
It's crazy. Is it like today or this week or whatever?
It was either today or yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, it came across my memories and I was just like,
Yeah. But when you asked me, I said, Jesus, I work for Jesus.
yeah.
Like, and then after the election, when Dottie withdrew, you came over to me and said, "You do work for Jesus." That was great.
Daddy, if you're watching.
Super awkward way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Do you have a question for Rob?
No, you only got one and you asked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's no rules here.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
So, I've been thinking a bit about. So quarantine has exposed a lot of systemic problems.
Mhm.
Like, it's always stuff that we know is there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you saw the news out of Indiana and the United Methodist Church, but they hired the guy that
They fired him finally.
they fired him. That announcement
Right.
went through today. But like in one of the articles, it said like they went through the regular background check process. And I just think like, really?
Yeah.
So that would have been a red flag. So like all of these different things in so many ways, from like Black Lives Matter to housing to healthcare, like all these things are getting exposed in different ways. And then in the United Methodist Church, the biggest thing that we were going to expose and deal with this year, like, is now punted for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I know it's still being talked about, but there's just so many other things in like the church world and life world where like there's no longer like schism or how do we rebuild the Titanic while it's sinking.
Right.
So yeah, like just the future of the UMC. What do you think?
Right. So I think I haven't, just not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring, it's hard for me in my usual futuristic self to try to think of, okay, what's a year from now? What's 3 years from now? What's 5 years from now? It's all just like, whoa. I haven't quite wrapped my head around that, but my observation seems to be, I think, and you hinted at it, is this has caused maybe the institution of the church in a lot of ways to catch up to the 21st century. And I've noticed too, this time has really helped us focus, as exhausting and as strange as it can be, on maybe what's essential. Mm-hmm. So we've cut out a lot of the busy work of like, oh, I guess we really didn't need all those meetings. We didn't need all these parts of a worship service. We didn't need XYZ. But what we do need is to really be making sure we're taking care of the vulnerable, the shut-ins, the disenfranchised. We need to be really, we can talk about justice to, directly to an audience through our Facebook and YouTube pages and whatever, where before it's like maybe we would have slipped something kind of maybe into a sermon. It feels like it's all a lot flatter and less, although, you mentioned the hierarchy reared its, ugly head again, and here comes the old system, and we're going to make this weird groupthink decision of, hey, here's this guy who who's a sexual or sexual predator, or was convicted for this with teenage girls, and give him a job at a church. And when the press calls us and says, hey, what's up with that? We say, it's totally cool. Like, not even, somebody didn't even realize somewhere that, oh, by the way, the second this link goes on Facebook, on social media, it's gonna go viral. And now that's what everybody looks at as the United Methodist Church. Like, one of the most amazing own goals in United Methodist history, right? So I think it shows all of that shows we can reimagine this when we're forced to reimagine doing all this. And the more we fight it, the more we try to force going back to the old ways, the harder of a time we're going to have as leaders, as church members, living into the future. And people just get depressed and angry and whatever if everyone's just sort of waiting to like for that Sunday to have permission to go back to the old ways. You're gonna be sorely disappointed. So this is a time where we're forced to reimagine what the future of the church is and what that structure can be. And who knows, that might change the entire conversation around split and schism. So
time for some people to retire, or as I've been saying, at least let Generation X lead.
Right.
Millennial. At least let Gen X in charge.
Yeah. I don't see why we can't have a spectrum of faith communities. Like there's still going to be churches, and there's still going to be generations and even younger people who are wired and need that hierarchy of church. But there's no reason why we can't offer, there's not 20 different types of things we do through all kinds of different ways, and how we connect people, how we practice our faith, how we are in community with one another. And like I said, we can fight it, or we can use this time to reimagine what that looks like. Yeah. Okay. Last thing. What's a message of hope you guys have for everybody watching?
So we had a bird's nest on our garage, and twice this summer we've seen birds like hatch and like slowly seen them fly away, but not actually see them fly away.
Yeah.
The last week, Leo had to go out 3 times one morning within like a half-hour stretch. And it was very annoying at first, but the last trip that he took out, like while he was sniffing around, I saw there was just one bird left in the nest. And like the day before, it just opened its mouth and it didn't quite chirp. But that next morning, like it was chirping, and I watched it like hop to the edge and fly off. And it was just one of those moments of like, I have no control over that. It was just sort of luck or a miracle that I was here to see it. But that's the beauty of this world, and it just keeps going. And it was just one of those moments where like, I didn't have to control that. I didn't have to create it, but I can really appreciate it, and I needed it.
Yeah.
So that like little moment has kept me going for a couple weeks now. Just appreciating that goodness and that's still unfolding sort of joy that's out there.
Awesome. Thank you. Irene?
So Iowa Interfaith Power and Light, IowaIPL.org. I don't know. That just feels funny, but
yeah.
So we have 5 Iowa Religious College students working with us. And part of the work is developing a statement about climate change. We're a climate organization. And we've been doing a lot of work around really doing environmental justice, making sure we're doing racial justice, we're showing up for Black Lives Matter. And so it's been really hopeful seeing this group of 5 young people, adults really, actually for the first time, like using their faith and integrating that into justice and seeing them articulate that. That's kind of like my soapbox on theology is like, and justice work is like, we really need to be grounded. We need to be able to articulate, because when you can't articulate, it's going to fall flat, and we need to. So it's been a joy seeing these 5 young people find their voices and really be rooted for climate justice and integrate the whole spectrum of the movement. That's not just like the white, we don't eat meat movement. There's room for that, but there's more.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. It was fun to see you one day we will see each other in person. I think Watson and I now that Brian's in Nebraska, I think we're gonna like do a road trip when it's safe to do so. Just gonna hit everybody in the Midwest, which is you guys and Brian. So Janessa's in Boise right now. So
you just go up and then you can kind of go over. Yeah.
Yeah. So because Idaho's somewhere not here.
Anthony Fauda is now in Illinois. He's 5
right.
hours away. Yeah, he's
That's
5
right.
hours away.
Oh, this is gonna be
He's in Champaign.
He's in Champaign because he's so connected.
Yeah. Champagne. All right. Well, this is where I stop recording, and we totally don't keep talking for another minute. Yeah. So, hey, thanks for being on, guys. Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Bye.